If you're new to the project, then a big warm welcome. If you're a tough old root, then welcome back. Today's video is the complete start to finish build of our off-grid mountaintop tiny house. This thing was designed for a 3-person family, but it can hold up to 5. The footprint is 12 by 16, and it's a split level design comprising of 3 separate levels. I'm Josh, and this is our daughter, Ivy.
I'm Celia, and this is our son, Hamish.
Here on Steep in the Woods, we live completely off-grid on a 26-acre homestead nestled deep in the Appalachian Mountains. You'll see no fancy stuff here. It's just making do with what you have and what you can figure out. That's it. It's all up here. Now we just got to build the thing. All right, so what I'm doing now is I'm running down this beam and making marks where all the boards go. We'll also do that on the 2 end boards, and that'll take all the guesswork out of it. You just lay your boards down, make sure the board is in between the 2 marks on both your beam and on your end boards, and you just screw it together. Once you're within those 2 marks of where this needs to be, you look down here at your overhang mark and make that flush with the outside of your beam. Looks good. There we go. Now you just toenail it. So all we've done here is just cap the end of all these runners. I used the marks to know if it's just a little bit off. You just push it slightly to make sure that these studs line up with them marks that we made at the very beginning. I'm putting 3 in each one on the double studs in order to keep this big runner board here from cracking. I'm putting 3 on the first one. 1, 2, 3, and then just 2 in between in the spaces of the 3 on the second one. So there's 5 screws per each double stud, and then 3 per each single. So what I got here is some of that cheap foam board. I'm going to take and lay it down on top of the plywood. Wow. Whoa. Gonna lay it on top of the plywood, and I'm just going to loosely staple it, and then we'll flip this plywood over and screw it down. We'll do that with the whole first layer. So there is a layer of foam under the floor. Put down the plywood. It's 2 thicknesses with the foam board under it. That's the best we can hope for this winter. But when the thing is actually done, one of these days, when it's totally finished, the foam board will just be a plus. The R value of our house will be even greater because we used it. That is our sunroom. The house is going to be a split level design, meaning that there is technically 3 floors in it. You're going to go in the front door. It'll be the living room and the bathroom. To your left is going to be a staircase that takes you up 3.5 feet to the sunroom. Once you're in the sunroom, you turn right, and there's the kitchen. Then you turn right again, and there's probably like a little staircase or a little ladder, which takes you to the sleeping loft that is above the living room. So I got this 2x4 here laying. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pick it up and screw it to this one. It's always wobbly until it's finished. We'll pick it up, screw it to this one. That way I got some kind of sturdiness behind this wall here, because I don't want it to go falling over. That would suck. This is your standard anchor. Now they make these giganimous mobile home type anchors, but you know what? You can't. I mean, you need 2 men to put them in. So these are also an option. You look at your big box improvement store. They're in the garden center back there where the sheds are. With these, they just screw in. You're going to need some kind of leverage. This is actually a different type of anchor. I use this for a lot of different things. But you just screw it in. And it takes a long time. What you need for this system is some good strong cable. Wrapped twisted wire cable. You're going to need one of these screw adjustable cable tension things, whatever that is. You're going to need some way to cut your cable. I got various tools here because cable is so difficult to cut. Just however you can manage it. I've even used a Dremel with them like a cutting blade on it. And then you're going to need some of these cable ties. I got 4 of them. It'll take 8 because there's 2 anchors. And then you're going to need some way to tighten up your cable ties. You need to drill 2 holes in your beams at the end of them. You know, I did mine maybe 6 inches back, real close to the top, because you're only drilling the hole to keep it from sliding. You want the cable to go around as much of the meat of the beam as possible. Then you're going to measure out your cable, and you're going to run it through there, back to your eye hook, and give yourself a little bit of slack. All right, I have the system set up the way that I like it. I thought about this system, and I think it's a good one. It'll seem complex and it'll sound complex, but really it's super duper simple. I have the cable set up with the 2 anchors going to the 2 beams. Those are crisscrossed. You want them to crisscross. You don't want them to come straight down, because that also will add side-to-side strength, whereas straight down wouldn't. What I have here is I have the cable. It's doubled up. It's one continuous loop of cable going to the beam and to the anchor. What I have here is 2 small screw ties and then 2 big screw ties spaced out with one of these tension rods in the middle. So what you do is you put your tension rod in the middle, tighten up one of the small ties, pull their cable hand tight, and tighten down the second one. Once that's done, you make sure that you put your 2 big ones on either side, space them out a decent spacing, and you want them loose. Because your next step is tightening up this screw tie, which will tighten the cable, and you want the cable to be able to shift inside of your large clamps. Once you get it tightened down as much as you can, you then tighten down the 2 big clamps, which locks the system in. The reason why I chose this one is because adjustment over time will be key. As your structure settles, or if your anchors start to pull out some, you won't be able to pull them out, but they may settle as well. What you can do is loosen up your 2 small ones at this screw tie, stretch it back out, pull it hand tight, tighten the 2 big ones, and repeat the process later. So either way, I got it set up to where now all I got to do is tighten this up until it feels comfortable to me, and then throw on the 2 big ones, tighten them, and we're done. All right. I think that is the tension that I want to achieve with this system. Having it tight is really, really key. You don't want a system that is loose, because though it may hold 10,000 pounds, as your structure is falling over, not only do you have the weight of the structure, but you have the inertia in the movement. So either way, I don't want to get too complicated on that note, but you want it tight because you don't want any movement. And that's why this system is key. Now that I have it as tight as I want it, I'm going to tighten up these 2 big ones, lock the system down, and effectively turning these 2 cables into one solid one. All right, that is this one done. This is one of the sway anchors. The first ones were your earthquake anchors. Now this is your wind and storm anchors. Exact same system. You just go from the beam out. instead of obviously from the beam in, towards the hill. So either way, this is tightened up. I'm just going to tighten down these few clamps here, and then you're ready to rock and roll. All right, the last thing you need to know about anchoring down your tiny house is something that we call hurricane ties. Now these go on your joists. Obviously we double studded a lot of our joists, so we can't put them on every single one. But you don't have to do that. By all means, you could put them on every single stud of your tiny house and it'll be just fine. All right, the framework is finally done. I haven't started on the roof yet, but it's to a point now where I can show you the design. I've wanted to show you the design so bad because I'm really proud of it. It's 100% my own design. And I think I did pretty good for a hillbilly. So come on in, the front door, there's no steps. You're gonna have to, hop on up, and I will just do my best to show you the layout of this thing. So this here is the living room. The front door is right here. Obviously, we've got a window and another window. If you do have a wood stove, it'll be in that corner. So all of this is living room. Back here, this is the bathroom and the bathroom door here. You walk in. We have another window. There's plenty of room here. You can have like a toilet right here. Yeah. Shower. Head height in the entire, all the usable living spaces are 7 feet head height. So plenty of height. You can put your shower there, a legitimate normal shower. They also make these really, really small sinks that we can bolt on this wall here. And so that is the bathroom. It is 5 feet by 4 feet. And this living area is 12 feet by 8. So living room is 12 by 8. Bathroom is 5 by 4. Down here is storage space with a 2-foot door in it. This is it. This is the staircase room. For the time being, this is still a construction zone, so I have a ladder. But, hey, it's wide, it's big. It's roughly, this bit is roughly 6 feet by 4 feet, and there'll be a staircase here. Also, down here under this is another storage area. It's the same height as the one before. This can be for mainly utilities and like long-term storage. You access this from the side of the staircase. This will be where we put, say, our solar batteries. I don't have any yet, but that's on the list. All right, so once you climb up the staircase, you're now officially in the second level. This room right here, this section, is the sunroom. We have 2 giant windows facing perfect south. I actually shimmied the house, caddy corner on the ridge so that this would be perfect south. This is where Celia can start all of her seeds, get her plants started for the the spring planting. We're now in the kitchen. This is the kitchen here. It's got a big window. The stove will be right below the window. The sink will be on the right side, and storage will be on the left. I tried to design everything to where two people could comfortably pass. If you ever spent an extended amount of time in a camper, you know that just because just because it works on paper, man, doesn't mean it's going to be comfortable to actually live in. So I do think this is wide enough for two people to pass. It's not a huge kitchen, but it is a tiny house. The ladder will be on the far right here. You will climb up, and then you're going to be in the 3rd level. It is awesome. Technically, they're split levels, so it's not like 3 levels high. You go from the 1st floor to the 2nd floor to the 3rd floor. Also really liked, people have asked about my moon tat here, and it's got Celtic swirls and all of that on it. I'm not getting onto that right now, but I do like swirls. I do like, the progression and the energy flow of it. And so I built the house that way. You come in the front door, to your left is a staircase, and then you come to the sunroom, then you come back again, and so the entire house is built in a circle. To get from the front door to the highest point, you physically move in a circle with windows and nature coming at you from all sides. To my right, this is her area. It's long and skinny, but I measured it. It's big enough for your normal, what's that small size bed? Single. It is big. It's big enough for a normal mattress, a normal one-person mattress. And then to my left, this is ours. It's big enough for a double mattress. I overbuilt everything as much as we could. Obviously, this is a double stud, beam here, and then all of these are on 1 foot or less spacing. There is one more thing. Above you, there is a small storage loft. That's just there for tubs and, like winter clothes or whatever. Every space I've tried to use twice. Yeah. And there we go. This is a ventilation window. Alright, here we go. Second one. Camper window. Booyah! Now this, not only will this be a exhaust window, but this will add more light to our daughter's room. Any room that matters, you need to have light coming from two different directions. Now with the kitchen and with the living room, we have light coming from 4 different directions. So that is rock and roll because it's an open floor plan. That's one of the reasons why I didn't put a wall in between the two, is for lighting reasons. Because you're off grid, you don't want to use any type of lights during the day. That's a waste, man. Windows. So a viewer sent us some super sweet tiny windows. They're going to be perfect for this little area and that little area just to add light during the day. So I'm framing them in now. Look how much light that brings in. Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
Hope I fit. Hey, you like your window? No.
harder to cut it because may go up. Alright? Now, wait. Oh, wait 2 minutes. Do it my dad drunk in here.
So we're just doing some very rough cut shelves. It's just 2x4s that I've cut. I did a little angle thing here so it wouldn't have so many points, you know, as you passing by it. In the future, most everything like this and the steps and the railings will be replaced with natural materials, like logs, branches, etc. But for now, you just need something. So right now, I have this 2x4 that I cut, and I'm just going to screw it right to the side of this beam. And we're going to throw a piece of plywood on it, and that's going to be a shelf.
Insulation.
Hey, it's not much, but it's better than nothing. Man, and it was cheap and white. That's awesome. I'm all about white. If you watch the pallet cabin video and have seen the comments on that, everybody's like, why'd you paint it? I'm like, man, I like white. If you don't like it, build your own cabin, dude. All right. There we go. That's it. This one's a little crooked, but whatever. We'll just flex it in. But yeah, we got a holder for our sink. Man, it'll work. Alright, let's go check this out. Alright, so what we're doing now is I am installing the sink, or at least the bracket that'll hold it. Our counters are going to be 3 feet high, based on some really cool stools Celia has. That's going to be the right height so she can sit in that stool and work. Counters at where we live now are just a shade bit too tall, and I'm glad that we can get around to changing that. Hey, maybe that's why we did this entire thing, just because of bad counters, man. So I'm marking 3 feet. Alright, like that. Now you go through and you make sure all looks good. This side's a little high. I like that. That looks really good. Couple more screws in. Alright, next thing we're going to try. Make sure it fits. I'm going to have to bring up a drill bit, drill holes. Then what I'm going to do is make sure to just squeeze this in real good, get it a real tight seal. Right about here, we'll have our little faucet come out, probably run him right along this beam. And it's just going to be a little shut-off valve with some PVC that you can, choose one or the other. Perfect size. I'm very happy with that. Our stove is going to go here, and our countertop and our shelves will go here. And that'll be the kitchen done, man. Booyah! I like that sink. That came out of a camper, so glad I kept that, man. This is the bare bones of the kitchen done. There's going to be a lot of shelves and stuff of that nature, but we got the sink down here a little bit lower. This is where the stove sits, and I put it right in front of the window to help it vent because it's a propane stove. And then this right here is countertop. So, don't look beautiful, but you're not really going to see this much. Once there's a countertop here and there's a stove right here, you're not going to see the boards. And then I don't know what we're going to do under it. We may not do nothing because my daughter, that's like the height where she's going to mess with it. So there'll probably be a lot of shelves up higher.
I'm going to try and put the drain pipe for the sink as close as I can to the corner so that it's not going to interfere with anything they may do here in the future. Whether here for foot space and below as well for storage. I'm just using this stick here to make sure that the P-trap will articulate properly and everything should be okay. So Now I'm going to get my hole saw and go ahead and drill a hole through this part of the floor in the corner, as close as I can to the floor joist.
All right, we are taking the sink off so that we can fish the drain pipe down.
I'm currently in the bathroom for spatial reference.
Yep, and this is the drain pipe here. Going down to outside town.
A bender.
There.
Hang on it.
She's really bent, so she may just go boing in the hole.
There you go.
Not too busy talking to tell you the useful information.
Nice.
Yeah.
There you go. Now you have no couplers or anything in your house at all.
That's awesome.
And that's on the ground, so cool.
All right.
We can cut it however you want down there. I'll just let it sit on the ground
Okay.
for now, and I'll attach it to the sink.
Alright, so what we're doing for our temporary walls on the walls such as this, we're not putting it on the walls that have insulation because they're white and beautiful. Why even fool with them? Is we got some of this cheap canvas drop cloth. I had this for a different project, but it's relatively white, it's relatively cheap, and it's relatively strong. So I'm just going to staple it on the loft wall, and hey, this impromptu wall. You know, you can't see through it, and it'd be hard to push through, so thumbs up on that one. Oh, I got my super duper helper here. Good down there. Yep. There you go. You put a bunch more staples in it. This is by far the cheapest and quickest cabin wall you could ever put up. It's time for the top bar on our railing. Put up the canvas first, because I'm going to cut a little slit in it so I can anchor it to that wall and still have a solid piece of canvas there. Alright, test fit. Hey now, Amy. Yeah. So that's how it works. Just going to screw it to each one of these and anchor it to our wall, and this will be a sturdy railing here. Alright, so Sam's asking me lots of different things concerning the drain pipe, because it's like there's something up with it, which I said, I don't care. And he told me this big spiel about how it was important, and I said, you're going to have to say that to the subs. So Steve in the Woods do not care. But this is why Sam has the official channel. Everybody, official channel. Stephen Woods makes it crooked on purpose. Alright, so tell them like the problem and what and why.
Alright, the problem is I did not take into account that this floor for the kitchen is framed within this wall when I drilled the hole. And I measured from the corner of the wall. Well, the top pipe is 1.5 inches more that way than the bottom that goes to the floor. So the pipe's kind of going crooked. It drives me crazy. Josh don't care. But I'm spending the last 10 minutes looking at different hole sizes and hole saws and thinking if we did one large hole for 3 penetration gas water line and supply, and then that's what I did. I did the crooked dang pipe in the house. Quality.
Placated him for about 10 minutes, and I was like, dude, just leave it. It's cool. It's fine. Everything's going to siphon down to a 4-inch drain pipe later. So, I mean, really, there's going to be a hole there later.
take it off for a more second. You take it off for a more second. I'm a babysitter. Okay, did I have to open the book?
So I cut a piece of plywood for this little shelf up here, and then I did one for the loft over here, and it fits pretty well.
So I'm gonna do it like this. We're gonna pin it up, and that's it. I have a child-proof latch that we're gonna put on the inside here. The most important thing for me was for it to swing that direction. That way, if my daughter is up here, she can push as hard as she wants to. She has to break something. You know, she has to, in order to open it, you have to pull towards you. I don't think that's something she's going to get quite yet. So, booyah, gate. Is it beautiful? No, but it's all scrap wood and it's super cheap. So this is the railing done, except for the latch. I got some super sweet stainless steel screws. They are awesome. Man, rock and roll.
So all you gotta do, take these handles and pull them all the way up, then roughly give it a push, and it opens all the way up for our event window.
Yeah! Alright, I'm going to try to work on the railing in between the kitchen and the living room. I'm just looking to see what measurement looks good to me. We have a bunch of 1x2s that we had used for a project at our old house. I gathered them up and carried them up the mountain. And we're just going to see. What you do when you're doing something like relative dimensioning is you only have a finite amount of boards. So you're going to choose your length, which I'm thinking is 2.5 feet. And then we will divide the amount of board feet that we have by that length. And that'll give us our number of pickets. And then once you have your number of pickets, you divide the length of what you're trying to put a railing on by that number, and you'll get your spacing. At some point, I want to have 4-inch spacing. Because that's what you're supposed to have. That's a really good size. But for right now, I'm just going to put up something. We can always fill in the gaps later. Alright, there you go. That is the railing on. It's less than 4-inch spacing, which is up to code. You know, I think technically it's also supposed to hold like 200 and something pounds. I think that is possible. Once we completely have it done with the attachment here and the attachment there, I'll probably also come down with another runner right about here. I already have that one cut, so that will happen. I'm going to offload these. We're going to set some posts and use this concrete because concrete cannot sit there. If we leave it here and come back in 3 days, it's going to be a brick. And I don't want a brick. I want concrete in its powdered form to set posts with. What we're going to do is we're actually going to, instead of boxing it in with 2x4s that don't bear any weight, we're going to use 4x4 posts. And that'll help keep the house, I mean, it'll really add, it's not there necessarily to hold weight, obviously, because that's what the block does, but it will add a lot of side-to-side strength. As the wind blows, you know, and me being scared of storms, your house tries to move, well, it has to push these posts down in order to pick up this side. All right, so just let my side be fluid. Right there. All right, just make sure yours is level. Level with the edge of the house. Good.
Right there.
Right there, man. Really?
Yeah.
She's in the background dancing to your song.
Good, good. Hey, you ever heard of the thumb keg waltz? Well, that's the handsaw jig there. All right, it's perfectly level, it's perfectly straight. Now we just fill this hole in with some of that Quikrete, and you know, it takes like 24 hours to set up, but then you're ready to rock and roll. We're also going to take some salt graded 2x4s and do kind of angle braces here. One second. Yeah. There is a double stud above both this post and this post on both sides. There we go. You all done? Yeah, good job. All done, good job. And I got this basically for nothing from a roofing company who was putting on a new roof, and they just wanted to get rid of this. So I have an ungodly amount of this, and this is what we're going to take and use. So with our 10 snips here, all we're going to do is cut along all of these ridges, removing these crimps and leaving us with just the flat piece of tin. I found it easier to go ahead and start on both sides. See, when you fold this up, it allows your 10 snips to get in there much easier, but there comes a point when it's hard to fold unless you cut this side. So I cut both sides of it. Once you've cut down both of the sides, what you're left with is just this flat piece of tin right here. You could do longer pieces. I just find it's easier and safer for me to go with small pieces. It is more ladder work, it's more leg work, but I don't make nearly as many mistakes, and I'm not. It is safer using these on a tall ladder versus a big floppy piece. I mean, honestly, tin this small, you could punch through it just a regular black oxide screw. But I prefer to pre-drill my pieces. You're just going right along the top edge here. So either way, one at each end. One about 4 inches in. And then just whatever in the middle. And that is it. That is our finished piece of Appalachian siding here. So the principle of this siding, or any lap siding, is that each piece overlaps all of the other pieces to a greater or lesser degree. So when I did this wall here, I left, you know, just whatever amount of these pieces hanging over the edge. That way I can then fold them in, screw them down, and that is your first lap on a corner. Now we have that piece that we just made. I'm going to go ahead and put a screw through the first hole, and this will go through that secondary hole on the edge. Remember, we did one right on the corner and one about 4 inches in. That is our overlap mark. Today is the long-awaited inside tour of our unfinished mountaintop off-grid tiny house. So before we go in, there's a couple things that's important to know, right? I mean, so this is a tiny house. It is really, really small. It's 100% my own design, and it's not finished. However, there are 8 spaces in it, so 8 different kind of rooms and 3 different levels. So it is going to be hard to film with our Mickey Mouse sort of camera operation here. So the first room we're going to go into is the living room. So, hey, let's stop talking and go on in the dang house, right? Come on. So the first room that you come into is the living room, right? This room is 8 feet by 12 feet. That is the floor plan size. One of the most important things I wanted, that I've seen in a lot of different tiny houses, they either take it way too far or they don't do enough, is head height, which is something I wanted to incorporate in our design. It was very, very crucial to me, right? You need to be able to lift your hands in all of the active spaces, right? Living room, kitchen, etc. A big boy can touch the actual ceiling, but most people can't. So that was crucial to me. So 8 feet by 12 feet, living room. So we're going to do all of the large spaces first, because there's a couple hidden kind of nooks, right? I mean, they aren't technically hidden because a smart man can look and see, hey, there's probably something there, but most of them are not obvious. So from the living room over here, move this. This is the bathroom. It's also where I'm storing all of my insulation and my different wiring stuff, because this is a work in progress. It is 4 feet by 5 feet, a 4 by 5 bathroom space. So obviously it's not beautiful. This is the storage area. But there again, the exact same ceiling height, the exact same idea. This is what I would consider an active space. So for me, when I design this, there is active and inactive spaces. So we lived in this during the winter, right? And while it was not part of the design, we were able to fit a wood stove in here. And this is where it went through the wall. This is a triple wall pipe, and this corner was our wood stove heating. that still allowed enough sitting room and walking area for a 3-person family. So wood stove was here, my recliner was right here, and then a couch was over there, along with the bathroom setup, and it really worked out well for us. So the last active space on the first level is literally just a staircase room, right? These steps right here are not how I pictured them in my mind. The eventual steps, the final steps will be much, much different. They will actually have a curve to them. But either way, we just made do with what we could. All of this was making do with what we could and what we could manage and what we could afford. But from here, we go into what was the library and the staircase room. Whilst these 3 shelves were not enough to house our entire book collection, it was a great way to make use of this space. So we have the staircase, we have the books here, and we had plenty enough room to navigate through them. There is another loft above me, one of the inactive spaces. So this area has extraordinary head height, right? I mean, the loft is 8 feet, and then right here, you can go up a solid 12. From here, we go up the steps to the second level. One of the things I wanted to incorporate into my design that I didn't have the funds for. I didn't have the funds or the manpower, but it was absolutely important to me, was a greenhouse inside of the actual house. In the original plan, the all-out, we have tons of money plan, from here over was going to be an entire glass wall with a glass ceiling. However, because of funds and other such whatevers, I went with 2 large windows facing perfectly south. And right here, this little corner shelf is where we started all of our seeds for our garden. You know, in lieu of an actual greenhouse, a couple big windows pointing the correct direction can be almost as good. From the sunroom, we come to the kitchen. The kitchen is 4 by 8. It's big enough for a full-size window. We had our propane stove, countertop, sink, and actually everything still works, man. I mean, it's still a turnkey house. We just aren't in it right now. So yeah, water works. The stove works. This is a double feed, you know, kind of a gravity ceramic filter set. The water here is 100% fine, but it made me feel better to run it through something. The kitchen, there again, you can't touch the roof here. But head height in all of the active spaces. I will continue to say that because that really defines how you design a house, right? Where are you going to be standing? Where are you going to be active? I'm not saying everyone cooks like this, but you do not want a low ceiling somewhere where you're going to be active. And the kitchen is by far the #1 most active spot, second only to the bathroom. From the kitchen, you go up one more level, right? 3 actual levels. I like it, right? I mean, this was 100% my own brainchild, so obviously I dig it. To the loft, and the loft is relatively big. It is larger than the living room. So the part right behind me where the bed is, you know, ignore the mattress, man. I mean, we are on the top of a mountain. If you knew what it took to get that mattress here, you'd know why it's not gone yet. But either way, so this part of the loft alone is 8 by 12, along with the top of the bathroom as well. So this was designed, right, by me to be this section, this smaller section, would be a spare room, a child's room, what have you. Obviously, you can extend it past here and make a full-size little room, whilst the larger portion was to be the couple's space, right? You know, the adult sleeping space with all of your giant clothes and dressers and whatever. The ceiling, obviously, this is not an active space for me. I would go outside to work, and I would only come in. I only ever slept here. So this is 4 feet or less. The highest point in this loft is 4 feet high. However, I mean, so you can't stand up, and I guess that's kind of annoying, but obviously there's no reason in the world why you need a 10-foot ceiling in your bedroom. You can get up, you put your hands up, maybe not all the way, but design a place that fits. Don't waste space where you don't need it. And a sleeping loft, a specific area just for sleeping, is one of those places where you don't need to waste that extra space. So can you spot the last two spaces? To me, they're really, really obvious. Those last two spaces, not technically, active spaces, are under the kitchen and under the sunroom floor. I have not yet framed out this doorway. This is not really big enough for an adult to get through. However, the space exists, and it was more than enough for Ivy to have all of her toys, and that was her room, and she just was under there and doing God knows what. But this will be framed out bigger so that it's more accessible to an adult. But that was where all of the toys went. There again, if you're just a regular couple, a regular dude, one single person, just storage, right? We used it for something other than storage, but it was designed as just an extra storage area. In tiny houses, you need all the storage possible. And that is a lot of storage. It is 3 or 3.5 feet high by 4 feet by 8 feet. So, I mean, that is, I don't know the cubic feet, but that's a lot of storage area. So that is section 1. The other one is under the kitchen, and it is where all the utilities are. So whilst this one doesn't need to be closed up, it's where all those ugly things go, like the water pump, the solar batteries, things of that nature that you don't want to see, and it's possible as a family, you don't want your child or a younger person to have access to easily. So as you can tell, both of these spaces are big enough to sit up straight in. I mean, I'm not a giant, but I'm a regular sized person. In this space, I actually had a hammock hanging to where you could lay down. Part of the design process of these two storage or utility spaces was that you could sit up in them. They were large enough for a person to lay down in case you needed to house someone in these spaces. And also, since this is an off-grid house, it was very important to install windows. I did not install windows that opened. I did not install big windows. But when you're producing every single bit of your power, and not only producing it, but having to store it yourself, you need to be as responsible as possible. So one small window is going to save you a ton of power in regards to say if you need something out of these spaces during the day. So this is where the filming gets really difficult in such tiny spaces. However, I did want to at least attempt to show you. Behind me, we have our water pump. So the water comes in off of our spring system. Yes, if you've seen that spring video, it's been over a year, 0 maintenance, 0 problems, full production of an entire 3-person family's needs. But that comes up, and it comes to this 12-volt pump. This 12-volt pump has automatic shut on, automatic shut off. And I especially like this particular one because it had a little sediment filter that came with it, and that really just pushed it right over the top, right? It's almost like its own little self-contained, just a regular house's system, but it's 12 volt. Also, we over here in this corner, we have our 4 batteries and our charge controller. The charge controller was donated to the project by an individual. I believe it was Kickinaz with a K. Either way, if you're still watching, dude, we used it, right? And Ben, that's your water pump. Either way, this is the utility area, and it is a little dark. It's a little cramped, but it all works. So I had hoped that I could avoid going under the sunroom's floor into this storage area, but really it's not going to be a full tour if I don't at least try it. So we're going to go down here, and you can see that it is roughly the same size as the under storage of the kitchen. Just doesn't have a door framed yet, so whatever. So this is the under storage of the sunroom. You can see the same type of window, just a cheap 1-foot window. It doesn't open, it's not special, but it allows in light, so you can see in this area during the day. It is roughly the same size as the room with all the wires in it. But this was Ivy's room, right? I mean, she didn't sleep here, but this was where all of her stuff was. And it really is just designed for storage. However, just like the utility room, in the design process, I purposely made it big enough so an adult, make sure I'm not, an adult can lie down. So, it's big enough for a twin bed, and so is the other one. If for some reason you got to fit 12 people in a tiny house, this will do it. I've had several people ask about, doing videos on what type of lighting that I chose, and those different appliances you can run off of 12 volt. Well, I already touched on that to some degree with the water, 12 volt water pump. The lighting that I went with was actually spotlights. So this is just an outdoor 12 volt flood light. They were crazy cheap. I think I got these for like $5. We used all of them for an entire year solid, and they're LED. They're never gonna crap out on you. They are waterproof if for some reason that matters. They don't take a lot of draw, but they put out a lot of light. Also, ceiling fans. This was off of Amazon. I'm sure some unknown contributor sent it to us, but there again, 12 volt, right? I mean, it's small, relatively quiet. Celia did mention she didn't like the noise after extended periods of time, but either way, lights, fan, water, wood stove for heat, as well as just whatever portable refrigerator you want. Actually get one with a compressor, not one of the computer chip ones, right? There's some kind of computer chip thing where there's not actually a compressor in it. You will need to buy one with a legitimate compressor if you're going to use it as a real fridge. But either way, that's basically it. I mean, what else do you need? Portable DVD player. Never mind. Crucial. Number one thing, you're going to live off-grid. Get yourself a portable, just regular car-powered DVD player, and that's it. Right? You got your light, you got your heat, you got your power, you got your water, you got your television, and your fan. And that's it. They're all cheap, they're all easy, and none of them take a lot of power, and it's all 12 volt. As I'm sure you're aware of by this point, if you've made it this far in the video, rock and roll, you're a cool cat, but you'll also notice that we didn't actually get the thing finished. That wasn't necessarily crucial for what we needed to do, because we wound up selling that property and buying a much larger one. We did sell the house and we did make profit, but we did not get it finished. However, we did live in there for over a year, and it worked perfect. The design is sound. I would definitely build this exact same thing over were we still a 3-person family. So we received 2 main questions in regards to this house. The first one is codes, and I cannot answer that for you. Codes are different state to state, county to county, and whether you're inside or outside city limits. The best thing I can tell you is to build it well as possible, and also movable structures are key. That is your best bet for getting around codes. Either putting runners under the structure or putting it on wheels will be the best way to get yourself around those codes. And the second one is cost, which is actually fairly easy to answer, but there's 2 different answers. For us here, me personally, it cost me less than $6,000, but most of our stuff was salvage. A lot of the windows came out of campers. The sink came out of a camper. A lot of our insulation was free. And then our siding, we used old metal roofing that we pretty much got for nothing. So a lot of ours was salvage. I did do the numbers, and if you were to go to Lowe's or Home Depot and buy this thing in a box, get everything you needed for this design brand new, it would be well over $15,000. So those are the two answers. I definitely encourage you to go with salvage as much as possible. Yes, camper windows are not the best, but they were, a good window is like $200, but I got a camper window for free, basically, because I bought the camper and then demolished it and sold just the trailer for the same price that I got the camper for. So things like that. The sink came out of a camper. A lot of the windows, the siding and whatnot was pretty much free. So definitely go that route. If you're really dedicated in your hunt for used supplies, secondhand building materials, you may be able to get it quite a bit cheaper. I do think it would be difficult to get it cheaper than we did, but you could at least go under that $15,000 mark. And we're back. If you're a tough old root, we have some really good news for you guys. We are back. We are back off grid. We're back on a mountain that we own, our mountain, Ivy's mountain, and Hamish, I guess. And we are 100% off grid. We're actually farther into the sticks than we were. This is a much greater, more dramatic situation than our last property. So remember to subscribe, to like, to hit the notification buttons. We are building another off-grid tiny house, except this time we're going to be using pallets. Our first cabin that we built on this project was made out of pallets, and it was beautiful and wonderful and cheap, and everybody seemed to like it, especially on the web. So we're doing that again now, except it's going to be much, much bigger. So remember, roots and new roots. If you like what you saw, hit that button. If you're new to the project, hit that other button. You want to help support the project? There are links below. Until next time, here, Steep in the Woods.